Red Bull Racing operates on a simple principle: win or get out.
Nobody wants to finish second. Second's not part of the plan.
The team doesn't do sentiment. If you're not contributing to victories, you're shown the door. Nobody is untouchable.
Success is all about winning.
This ruthlessness isn't a flaw in their system. It is their system.
If you can't cope with the pressure and scrutiny, you're never going to make it at the highest level in Formula One.
That approach built one of the most successful teams in Formula One history. 4 consecutive titles with Sebastian Vettel in the early 2010s, then 4 more with Max Verstappen from 2021 onwards.
This has been one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in almost 20 years in Formula One. Sebastian Vettel is a Grand Prix winner!
I will never forget. It's unbelievable. It's so much better than you might think it is.
Sebastian Vettel, you are the world champion! The world champion! Well done, enjoy it! You are the man!
Unbelievable! Thank you, I love you. Unbelievable.
Bowing before the bull. Sebastian Vettel, world champion.
We have to remember these days. There's no guarantee that they will last forever. Enjoy them as long as they last. I love you guys.
Yes, do you know how this is? Yes, this is fantastic.
You're the world champion! You're the triple world champion, Sebastian Vettel!
I love you. Yeah! Yes, we did it! Let's do everything in it!
Here comes Max Verstappen.
For the first time ever, is champion!
Verstappen, you are world champion! We are world champions! Thank you!
Yes! Oh my God!
What confidence! The boy just goes and finds...
The Brazilian Grand Prix goes to Max Verstappen! A year after he finished second and had it taken away in his redemption day!
You absolutely bossed it. Magic today.
Yes! Yes! Oh, that was a good one.
Max, you are a 3-time world champion. That's unbelievable, mate.
Yes, boys, come on. Yes. Oh, this feels good. This feels really good.
Will retain his crown. Max Verstappen is a 4-time Formula One world champion.
Max Verstappen, you are a 4-time world champion. That is a phenomenal achievement. Oh my God.
Across 2 decades, Red Bull didn't just compete, they dominated. But in 2024, the era of complete dominance had ended. In February, before the season even began, allegations emerged against team principal Christian Horner.
Major Formula One news, and Red Bull's team principal Christian Horner has spoken publicly for the first time to deny allegations of inappropriate behaviour made against him.
Red Bull have just launched an investigation after allegations of inappropriate behaviour were made against Christian Horner.
Christian Horner is accused by a female member of Red Bull staff of controlling and coercive behaviour.
An independent investigation was launched by Red Bull GmbH into claims of inappropriate behaviour from Christian towards a female colleague. Christian denied everything. For weeks, the investigation dragged on. Every press conference became about the allegations, not about racing.
And does it risk unsettling the team?
But it's going to go into the season because the season's only 2 weeks away.
Did you give any thought to maybe stepping aside from those duties temporarily while all this is sorted out?
Can you guarantee you've never behaved inappropriately towards a colleague?
Look, I deny any accusations that have been made against me.
At the car launch in Milton Keynes, Christian stood front and centre alongside Max Verstappen and Adrian Newey.
It's business as usual. There obviously is a process. Obviously, I fully deny any accusations that have been made against me, but of course I'll work with that process, which I hope is concluded in the near future.
Behind the scenes, reports emerged of internal rifts, tensions with Helmut Marko and fractures with Jos Verstappen, Max's father.
Jos Verstappen says there is tension here while he remains in position. The team is in danger of being torn apart. It can't go on the way it is. It will explode. He is playing the victim when he is the one causing the problem.
By late February, Red Bull announced the grievance had been dismissed. Christian would remain at the team. In May, Adrian Newey, Red Bull's chief technical officer, announced he was leaving. Not for retirement, but for another team, Aston Martin. The design genius behind every championship-winning Red Bull car would be working for a rival.
If you'd asked me even 2 or 3 years ago, would I ever be moving from Red Bull to another team, I said absolutely no way. Red Bull would be my last team. But over the last, really, 12 months or so, things have slowly changed a bit. I'm not being honest with myself. If I stay, I need to do something different.
On track, the competition was closing in. McLaren found pace. Ferrari improved. Mercedes clawed back ground with every update. The gap that seemed insurmountable in 2023 had disappeared. But Max was in a class of his own.
In the Brazilian rain, the Dutchman has delivered a defining drive. Ah, yes!
Despite the internal tensions and external noise surrounding the team, he secured 9 race wins and his 4th consecutive Drivers' Championship under the lights in Las Vegas.
That is 4 in a row, Max.
Oh my God, man, what a season. Thank you guys, thank you to everyone. I mean, it was a little bit more difficult than last year, but we pulled through and we gave it all. Thank you so much, guys.
And in Brazil, driving through torrential rain, he delivered one of the greatest performances in recent history and went from 17th on the grid to victory.
Verstappen out in Q2. Max Verstappen, 5-place grid penalty, finds himself dropping down to 17th in the order. The man on the charge, the championship leader on the attack. Max Verstappen up to P10. Here we go with Max Verstappen in another league right now. Wasn't even a contest. Verstappen goes from 17th on the grid to the lead in Brazil.
No, but that is simply lovely. I tell you that.
On his side of the garage, everything worked. On the other side, everything fell apart. Sergio Perez had signed a contract extension that would keep him at Red Bull through 2026. The first 7 races showed promise. 4 podiums suggested he might be finally finding consistency alongside Max.
Checo, thank you very, very much for that. That was a very strong drive. Well done. 1-2 finish for the team. Maximum points. Best way to start the year.
Yeah, well done, guys. I'm going to start the season. Well done to everyone. And let's keep it up. Long year ahead.
Then came Monaco, a crash. Canada, another DNF. From that point forward, the season unravelled completely for Sergio.
You know, it's destroyed the race for Checo today. It's cost us a lot of damage and obviously vital points in the Constructors' Championship.
He failed to escape Q1 on 6 separate occasions and Q2 on 3 more. In Mexico, his home Grand Prix, he qualified 18th. Baku looked promising until he threw away a podium finish with a late crash into Carlos Sainz.
But now Perez coming back, and there's contact between Perez and Sainz into the wall. Disaster for Ferrari and Red Bull.
His best result in the final 15 races was 6th place at the Dutch Grand Prix.
You know, Max is a hell of a competitor, and he's a tough, probably the highest benchmark in Formula One. But Checo's now in his 3rd year in the team. He's confident, he's comfortable, and you know, he's got to be on his A game.
By the end of the season, Sergio had finished 8th in the Drivers' Championship, while Max won his 4th title. Red Bull fell to 3rd in the Constructors' standings, behind McLaren and Ferrari. Max was carrying the team one-handed, and one driver can only do so much. The team couldn't ignore it any longer.
Basically, he's come to his own conclusion that I think that now is the right time to step away from Formula One, to take a bit of time out.
Sergio was out. The contract extension meant nothing. 4 years with the team had been erased overnight. And the departures kept coming at Red Bull. Jonathan Wheatley, the sporting director, who had been there from the beginning, departed to lead Audi's F1 project. The foundations that built Red Bull's dominance were crumbling. But Christian Horner and the team believed they had the answer.
And his 3rd Grand Prix, Liam Lawson puts the AlphaTauri into the top 10.
Plenty of chatter about Liam Lawson taking the seat from Sergio Perez.
Liam Lawson has knocked Max Verstappen out of qualifying.
I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to win.
Liam Lawson would step up from the junior team. At 22 years old, with just 11 Grand Prix starts to his name, he'd shown speed and determination. He would partner Max in 2025, and the machine would keep running.
I joined the team 6 years ago, which is crazy, and have basically been chipping away for the last 6 years, and without them, obviously, I'd never be in this position. So, yeah, as I said earlier, we set up that company structure to try and get picked up by a junior team, because that was the only shot at getting the F1, and Red Bull were the guys that backed me. So, yeah, without them, I wouldn't be here. So it's pretty exciting.
Except 2025 had other plans. By the time December arrived, Red Bull would have lost the team principal who'd led them for 20 years. They'd have lost their motorsport advisor who'd discovered both Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen. They would have lost their strategy chief, Will Courtenay, after 20 years with the team. Nearly every pillar that supported the Red Bull dynasty would be gone. And yet somehow they would come within 2 points of winning the Drivers' Championship that everyone had written off as impossible. Through all of it, through the firings, the departures, the controversies, one man remained. Max Verstappen stayed, and he fought hard all season long.
Liam Lawson arrived in Formula One known for his aggressive, no-nonsense driving and a reputation for fearlessly pushing the limits.
I wanted the seat, and now everyone's like, oh, why didn't he get the seat? Did it piss you off? You mad about that? To be honest, I didn't really understand it.
Really?
No. Fuck no.
He made his debut at the 2023 Dutch Grand Prix, stepping in for the injured Daniel Ricciardo at Racing Bulls, and immediately impressed by finishing 13th in tough conditions. Over 5 more races that season, he scored his first points with 9th in Singapore, proving he belonged at the top level. In 2024, Liam started as Red Bull's reserve driver, but was called up for the final 6 races, beginning in Austin to replace Daniel Ricciardo, who was underperforming in the sister team.
He did a very good job for us in Abu Dhabi in free practice last year. He's versatile. He's jumped into DTM cars and been quick and a winner. He's won in F3. He's won in F2. He's a pretty hard driver, and I think he'll find his feet. I think he'll do just fine, given a little bit of time.
This decision allowed Red Bull to directly assess Liam's performance and suitability for a full-time seat in 2025, either at Racing Bulls or in the main Red Bull racing team alongside Max. His return was marked by bold, uncompromising moves and fierce on-track battles, clashing with Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez.
And the two that were arguing yesterday, continuing the conversation, this time on the race.
Liam Lawson, Fernando Alonso back at it again, down into turn 12.
And now these two who battled it out earlier on in the Grand Prix. And Lawson gets back ahead of Perez, whose race was undone with those moments.
Is he serious?
It's racing, we're in the heat of the moments. It was a tough fight. I didn't think I did anything wrong. I thought it was hard racing, obviously.
What the is this idiot doing? Is he okay?
Depends who you are, it depends the penalty you get.
I gave him space in 4, he came in super late. I'm not just going to get out of his way.
But he also showed strong pace and resilience under pressure. By the end of the season, he had cemented himself as a fearless, results-driven talent, unafraid to ruffle feathers to secure his future in Formula One.
Baku basically was the point that I was told, as I said, things change very quickly during the year, and there were points during the year where things were looking good, and then there were points where it wasn't looking so good, and I always knew that the incentive was to give me a shot, and I've known that since last year. Christian told me that personally, so I knew that they wanted to give me a shot at some point.
When it was announced that Sergio Perez will no longer be a driver at Red Bull after the 2024 season, the choice for the team was simple: Liam Lawson or Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki had completed 4 seasons with the junior team. He was solid, experienced, and safe. Liam had 11 Grand Prix starts. He was raw, hungry, but unproven. Red Bull chose the gamble. They chose Liam Lawson.
In the end, when we looked at all the factors involved, we felt that Liam was the preferable candidate to put alongside Max in the 2025 season.
He was patient after missing a full-time seat, but Liam described the moment he finally got the call as pure relief. The decision surprised many. Yuki felt overlooked, though he claimed he could understand the logic.
I felt like last year's end of the season was the biggest chance and closest I went throughout my career, and didn't happen. A little bit shocking, I would say. yeah, it is what it is. I just carry focus to perform well in RB.
What Yuki couldn't understand yet was that his time would come sooner than anyone imagined.
This is Formula One in 2025. We meet again.
Melbourne, round 1, the season opener. Liam qualified 18th after sliding off the track and onto the grass at turn 13 on his final Q1 effort, leaving him no time to regroup and go again.
First part of the lap was fine. We were on target, and then I just made a mistake in the last sector. I had a big slide through the high speed and it took the tyres, and the last sector I just had no tyres and it went off. So it's obviously a silly mistake. So probably one that didn't need to happen. I think we were in a decent position building up from the lap we were on anyway. So pretty frustrating.
As the rain turned into a heavier downfall on Sunday's race, Liam lost control of his car and spun into the barriers.
The clunk into the barrier for the second Red Bull, Liam Lawson finding himself out of his 12th Formula One Grand Prix.
His Red Bull debut lasted barely half a race. China, round 2, sprint qualifying. Liam was unable to put things right in China as he struggled once again to get to grips with the Red Bull RB21. He qualified in P20, right at the back of the grid, nearly a second behind Max.
Just understeered wide at turn 9, and it is an understeer-inducing corner that you've got to wait for the front to turn. You can see the steering lock on, and he's just tried to squeeze on the gas, but he's run too far off the road there, lost the traction of the rear tyres, and that is Lawson done.
During the Grand Prix qualifying, Liam's struggles with the car continued. He was driving too conservatively in some places and too imprecise in others, which resulted in him qualifying dead last. Again.
Do we have a little Liam problem here?
Well, I mean, it's been a tough day in the office for him today, so we'll have a good look at it and go through it, and obviously try and give him the best car we can for tomorrow.
Well, yeah, but you didn't, you need him to score the Constructors' points. You didn't pay off Checo for this, did you? I mean, the point was to replace Checo with a quicker driver, and is he just not a quicker driver?
As I say, we'll have a good look at it, and we'll do what we can to make it.
All right.
In the race, he managed 12th, after being promoted up the field because 3 cars ahead got disqualified.
To be honest, we were even more competitive in yesterday's sprint. We were able to overtake cars and move forward. It's just, we tried something with setup to learn something today. It was quite a big step, and unfortunately it just didn't work.
Sources inside Milton Keynes reported that after China, a meeting was called. The shareholders, Christian, Helmut Marko were all present. The vote was unanimous. Liam Lawson was being demoted to Racing Bulls.
I think we were asking too much of him too soon. This is for him to, again, nurture that talent that we know that he has back in the Racing Bull seat, whilst giving the Yuki the opportunity and looking to make use of the experience that he has.
2 races at 2 circuits he'd never driven before was all he was given to prove himself, while being asked to partner a 4-time world champion in a difficult car. On March 27th, it was announced that Yuki Tsunoda would replace Liam from the Japanese Grand Prix onwards.
Of course, it's horrible because you're taking away someone's dreams and aspirations, but sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind. And I think that in this instance, this is not the end for Liam. And that's what I was very clear with him is, look, there's a sample of 2 races. I think that we've asked too much of you too soon. We've got work to do with the car. We need to improve the car. We need to draw on the experience that Yuki has. And in the meantime, you need to go and rebuild yourself in the Racing Bulls in an environment that you know and that is perhaps slightly less pressured than Red Bull Racing.
The PR spin was perfect, but the reality was clear. He'd failed his audition. But this is Red Bull. Daniel Kvyat got 3 races in 2016 before demotion. Pierre Gasly got 12 in 2019. Liam got 2.
I found out after China, basically. Yeah, it was, I think for all of us, probably more unexpected, but it was after the weekend.
Was it ruthless? Yes. Was it unprecedented? Absolutely. Was it necessary? Red Bull thought so.
April 6th, Suzuka, round 3. It was Yuki Tsunoda's Red Bull debut, and it was happening at his home race.
I had lots of emotion, mixing around. But one thing I can say is it's hard to experience like crazier modern day situation in the future, I guess, because first time in the home Grand Prix, but also at the same time in the Red Bull racing.
The pressure was extraordinary. The symbolism was perfect. The race marked Honda's final Japanese Grand Prix with Red Bull before the manufacturer would switch to working with Aston Martin for 2026. The team ran a special white and red livery honouring the RA272, which was Honda's first F1 winning car from 60 years prior.
Through every challenge and triumph, Red Bull and Honda have been inseparable parts of a unified journey, pushing boundaries and redefining what is possible.
Max and Yuki needed to deliver, because Honda deserved a fairy tale. On Saturday, McLaren had dominated every practice session. There was every indication that Lando was going to secure an easy pole position. But then Max produced magic. He wasn't just fast, he produced a new Suzuka lap record and secured pole position by 12 thousandths of a second over Lando.
He left nothing on the table. That was one of his best laps, I think, in qualifying ever.
Even Max seemed genuinely surprised. The car had been terrible through practice. But Max and his team had worked hard to understand the car better, and when it mattered, he found something nobody else could.
Yeah, of course, very happy for everyone. I mean, the team is working flat out, and they're really giving it everything, to understand the car better. So for us, this is a great result.
On Sunday, Max led from the start, with the McLarens chasing after him hard. Both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri applied relentless pressure. The gap fluctuated between 1 and 2.5 seconds. He was never safe, never comfortable. On lap 18, McLaren radioed Lando to pit to overtake, then cancelled the call. 2 laps later, Oscar pitted and Max and Lando followed. At the pit exit, Lando tried to go alongside Max.
Go to the first turn! It's side by side between the two rivals for the championship. Lando Norris and Max Verstappen nearly coming together.
The pair got close to contact before Lando ran wide and bounced across the grass.
They forced me up. They were on it. He drove himself into the grass. Now we know the game, Max. As you are.
The stewards took no action. With 5 laps remaining, Lando closed to 1.1 seconds. Oscar sat within DRS behind him. But Max didn't flinch. He drove perfectly for 53 laps to claim his 4th consecutive Suzuka victory.
Just perfection, Max. Fantastic. Wow! Thank you, guys. Wow. Oh, mate, what an unbelievable weekend. What a great turnaround after the difficult start. You see, we never give up. We keep pushing together.
We've run the car in Honda livery this weekend as a thank you to Honda for the incredible partnership that we've had so far, and to win with a car celebrating them and to do it here in Japan as well is a big result.
Honda got their send-off. 4 drivers' titles, 2 constructors' titles, a partnership ending on the highest note. But behind the glory, reality waited. Yuki qualified 15th. He finished 12th and was stuck in traffic all race.
It's a home Grand Prix, It's a once in a year, so considering that, it's a bit tough.
Red Bull needed Yuki to provide feedback on the difficult RB21. They needed him to help development and to score the points that would keep them in both championships. Whether he could deliver any of that remained uncertain.
The championship moved into its crucial middle phase. Australia brought chaos in the wet, with Lando Norris's McLaren winning while Max fought to second after a difficult weekend. Bahrain and Saudi Arabia saw Oscar Piastri take victory, establishing the Papaya cars as genuine contenders.
Yeah, I had nothing to lose, so I just tried to have a bit of fun out there as well at the same time. I say yesterday that I will try to do my very best, and I think we did that today, but fortunately, we just didn't have the pace. We just were overheating a lot on the tires, so it was just quite a bit of a struggle out there, and then of course we got a bit unlucky with the VSC as well, but that's racing as well.
It was clear Red Bull weren't dominating anymore. They were fighting for every result, and they were doing it with one driver. Imola arrived at round 6, and it was Red Bull's 400th Grand Prix start, a milestone that should have been celebrated with dominance. Instead, it required Max to produce something special. He qualified second behind Oscar. At the lights, both drivers got clean starts, but at the Tamburello chicane on the opening lap, Max saw his opportunity.
He's up to second place, but Russell backs out of it, and Verstappen roars around the outside to take the lead in spectacular fashion.
He committed to the inside, made the move stick, and from that moment controlled the race completely. Victory number 2 of the season.
Wow, Max, 400 races and you won it. Brilliant drive, brilliant weekend. Well done, mate. You really dominated that race.
Yeah, exactly that. Brilliant weekend. That was a fantastic execution all around. Thank you very much. And not bad on our 400 race.
But the context surrounding that Imola win was sobering. McLaren's pace was growing stronger with every update they introduced. The papaya cars that had looked quick in pre-season testing were now genuinely threatening for victories. Even Mercedes and Ferrari, who many had written off after a difficult start to the season, were showing flashes of genuine performance.
I didn't see this one coming, to be honest. The car was a lot more balanced, I think, throughout the whole race, and that made me push a bit harder, I guess, on the tyres, and that worked. Very happy. I think on both of the compounds, I think we're quite competitive, and I think that has been a while.
The RB21, meanwhile, remained a difficult, temperamental machine. It could win races in Max's hands, but it wasn't the dominant weapon its predecessors had been. And Red Bull desperately needed both cars scoring consistent points to fight in the Constructors' Championship, and they were only getting one.
He's brought a good energy into the team. He's fun. He's working hard. He's quick. He's got a reasonable understanding what's going on with the car, and we're just trying to give him a setup that gives him confidence. And he's made a few Q3s now and scored points. We just need him to do that regularly and get further up.
Max Verstappen entered the 2025 season with 8 penalty points on his super license, carried over from instants across 2024.
This guy is dangerous. I just have to avoid a crash. It's the same as last start, mate. Yeah, we're on it, mate. I'll end up in a wall in a minute.
So Max Verstappen, you've been given a 10-second penalty for forcing Lando off track at turn 4. So head down.
10. It's quite impressive.
Each point was a countdown, a constant reminder that one more mistake could trigger a race ban. The points came from Mexico, Brazil, Qatar, Abu Dhabi and Austria. Still active, still looming. Max, like Red Bull Racing itself, had always been aggressive, ruthless, relentless.
He's like that guy in that horror movie that right as you think he's not coming back, he's back.
I think every driver is slightly different. Some are smarter, some are very smart, aggressive, and some are silly with it. And so you just, through those experiences racing with people, you give some more space, and others you don't have to. You can be. They're quite respectful. It's very likely you're going to come together with Max if you don't give him extra space.
The 2021 season had defined him. His battle with Lewis Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, was bitter, high stakes and unforgettable.
He's going to go for the move here. Lewis Hamilton trying to get into the lead of the race. They go wheel to wheel into the first corner.
It's got crazy now.
So let's get the position back to Hamilton to do that strategically.
Both are giving it absolutely everything. I get the feeling it's going to happen again. Oh, they touched and they collided.
Just brake testing me.
Well, Max is in the middle of the track. He has slowed down. Hamilton is slowing down too. But then Verstappen has kept applying the brakes.
Crashes at Silverstone and Monza, a last lap showdown in Abu Dhabi that sparked controversy across the sport. Respect between the two had been forged on the edge of disaster, and shattered just as quickly. By 2024, a new rivalry had taken shape. George Russell. Tension boiled over at Qatar during qualifying, when Russell accused Verstappen of driving too slowly, creating a super dangerous situation.
As I said, I've known Max for 12 years. I've respected him all of this time. But now I've lost respect for him because we're all fighting on track and it's never personal. Now he's made it personal and someone needs to stand up to a bully like this.
The fallout was immediate. Russell called him a bully, even threatened that Verstappen might deliberately crash into him. Max fired back, saying he had lost respect, labelling Russell a loser and his behaviour unacceptable.
I was quite surprised when sitting there in the steward's room what was all going on. Honestly, very disappointing because I think we're all here, we respect each other a lot. And of course I've been in that meeting room many times in my life and my career with people that I've raced, and I've never seen someone trying to screw someone over that hard. And that's, for me, I lost all respect.
The aggression, the fire, the willingness to push limits, it was all part of who Max was, and it was only a matter of time before it resurfaced on track again at the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix. Round 8. Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, a track that tests every aspect of a car's performance. Max qualified third, matching George Russell's time exactly, but taking the position by virtue of setting it first. At the start, he made an aggressive move around the outside of Lando Norris to grab second place, chasing Oscar Piastri's leading McLaren.
And it's Verstappen who is moving in on Lando Norris for second place. George Russell trying to pinch to the inside.
For most of the race, Max fought for the podium, trading positions through pit stop strategy, battling on degrading tyres, extracting everything from the RB21 even when it lacked the pace of the McLarens ahead. Then, with 10 laps remaining, Kimi Antonelli's Mercedes suffered an engine failure at turn 10.
But a full safety car has been deployed.
Red Bull made a critical call. Max pitted for the only fresh set of tyres he had available, which was a set of hards. His rivals bolted on used softs. At the restart, those hard tyres left Max vulnerable. Charles Leclerc swept past Max on the pit straight with light contact. Then George Russell and Max tangled at turn 1.
Now watch this, at enormous speed between the Ferrari and the Red Bull, and they banged wheels, approaching 190 miles per hour.
Yeah, Verstappen not moving at all. Leclerc shifting to the left-hand side. There's a slight touch, and there's another touch then as Russell chanced his arm down the inside.
Max went off track, cut the corner, retained 4th place. The team radioed.
Max, can you let Russell through, please? Let Russell through.
No, I was ahead. Hey, what the fuck?
My advice is to let him through.
Wait, I was ahead. He just ran me off the road.
But that's the rules.
What happened next shocked the paddock. Max appeared to slow, as if complying, then suddenly accelerated into the corner and drove directly into George's Mercedes in a deliberate and aggressive gesture.
Oh, contact! Max Verstappen into the side of George Russell. We were hearing the advice not taken.
Max received a 10-second penalty. The penalty dropped Max from 5th to 10th, a point-scoring finish salvaged from what should have been a podium, destroyed by a moment of pure frustration.
Max Verstappen, you've been given a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision, I believe, at turn 5, which drops you to P10 at the moment.
Helmut Marko called it a serious misjudgment. On Monday, Max posted on social media, "It was not right and shouldn't have happened." The apology didn't change the result. Red Bull had thrown away 9 points through their driver's loss of control. The championship gap to McLaren had grown wider through self-inflicted damage.
George has given his take on the incident. What's your take on that? And also the 10-second
I don't need to
penalty?
say anything about it.
By the end of the race, 3 more points were added to Max's super license, taking him to 11, just one incident away from a race ban, a stark warning from the FIA. Push too far, and the consequences could be career-defining. Yuki, starting from the pit lane after qualifying last and 20th, finished 13th.
Our safety car didn't help the timing. Probably without, there was potential to score points, but it is what it is. And pretty much same car from FP1. Pace was alright, but it's not pace that what I'm looking at, and obviously we are looking at. So just didn't improve at all.
Another pointless weekend. The pattern, depressingly familiar, continued unabated.
Canada, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, where long straights and heavy braking zones create overtaking opportunities. Max finished second, maximising every opportunity the car gave him. Another podium, another strong points haul, continuing his remarkable consistency despite the RB21's limitations.
The first two stints, I think, we're struggling quite a bit with the tyres. So we had to drive a very defensive race, quite an aggressive strategy. Also with the final stop was quite early. But it worked for us. We kept the cars behind, even though I never really felt like I had the pace to fight for the win.
Yuki managed 12th place. After 8 races with the team, he'd accumulated just 7 points in total.
Pace was okay, not amazing, but yeah, I still not too bad. And yeah, other than that, yeah, pretty much that's it really. At least positive is the car performance now, and the pace in the car felt a bit more normal or better than last previous races. So yeah, at least there's a bit of motivation there.
By the time the championship arrived in Austria for round 11, the standings painted a brutal picture of Red Bull's predicament. Max sat 43 points behind Oscar Piastri, the championship leader, despite collecting 6 podiums from 9 races. The mathematics were simple but damning. McLaren had 2 drivers scoring heavily every weekend, while Red Bull had 1.
There's everything to play for, and if nothing else, last year teaches you can start as strong as you like, it's how you finish. We've got great strength and depth in our team. Everybody in the company knows we've got a bit of pace to find. We've got the tools, we've got the people in order to do that.
4th place, 212 points behind McLaren. A team that had won the Constructors' title by margins of over 450 points in 2023 was now trailing in 4th, bleeding points every race to rivals who were maximising both of their cars. The second seat wasn't just underperforming anymore, it was actively costing Red Bull any chance of the Constructors' Championship in 2025.
June 29th, Austria, the Red Bull Ring, their home race. The one weekend where Red Bull should be able to rely on home support, familiar surroundings, and the energy of their own fans filling every grandstand. Austria should have been a celebration. It was their chance to deliver for their fans at their circuit. Instead, it became the low point of their season. Lap 1, turn 3. Kimi Antonelli, the 18-year-old Mercedes rookie, locked his rear brakes, lost control, and slammed into Max Verstappen's side pod.
I got hit like crazy. Fucking idiots.
Sorry about that. Locked the rear. Sorry. No sweat. No sweat.
Both out. Immediately. It was Max's first DNF since Australia 2024 and Kimi's third retirement of his difficult rookie season.
Unlucky, I guess. It's what it is. I mean, I spoke quickly to Kimi also. He came even to the hospitality. I mean, you know, I think every driver has made a mistake like that. You know, no one does that on purpose as well. So for me, that's not a big deal.
But understanding didn't bring back the opportunity to score 25 points. Yuki finished dead last after multiple incidents with Franco Colapinto.
Colapinto with a late braking move into the third turn. Tsunoda trying to repay the favour on fresher tyres. And they make contact and they spin!
A 10-second penalty. It was a complete nightmare of a race.
Yeah, I could probably wait out one more lap. But that was a pretty damn move for myself. Otherwise, the pace itself was, pretty poor as well. Not sure what I'm doing wrong, to be honest, but I have to look through it harder. But to be honest, it's really, really hard to find the reason for now what I'm doing so wrong to drive like this slow.
Red Bull scored 0 points at their home race. Helmut Marko's assessment was brutal and honest, saying, "This forces us to write off the championship."
Well, look, I mean, I think the championship we're not even thinking about, so we're just focused on each race now, and they're a long way out of touch. You know, we'll just take things race by race.
After Austria, Max Verstappen's frustration was boiling over. A home race with 0 points. A car that refused to cooperate. The RB21, once a machine of dominance, now offered inconsistent grip, poor balance, and temperamental brakes. Tyres overheated. Systems faltered. Every track exposed a new weakness, and every race felt like a battle just to stay in contention.
We need to start winning races more often. And how do we do that? By being more competitive. So far what McLaren has shown this whole season is quite extraordinary and difficult to beat, So now, okay, one weekend is not as good, but they are still by far the favorites, and that's not going to be something that is easily beaten. But yeah, the coming races still, we really want to try and improve our car.
Hungary, Bahrain, and now Austria. Max was fighting for positions like 6th and 9th, far from the victories he'd come to expect. Development focused on understanding the RB21's quirks rather than generating outright performance. Max was left chasing a car that rarely responded. By this point in the season, Max sat 61 points behind the championship leader. That gap triggered alarm bells. His 2025 brake clause required him to be in the top 3 of the driver standings by the summer break.
The contracts between the drivers and the teams are always going to remain confidential. And with any driver's contract, there is an element of a performance, mechanism. And of course, that exists within Max's contract. Now, the absolute his intention is that he will be there and driving for us in 2026.
Falling behind put the clause in jeopardy, adding a new layer of pressure just as the car and team were at their most difficult. Every misstep, every underperforming race was a reminder that even the best driver wasn't untouchable. By the time Red Bull left Austria, the combination of a struggling car, mounting internal pressure, and the relentless expectation to win had pushed Max to his limits. The cracks in the team were visible, and everyone knew something had to give.
July 9th, Wednesday. The announcement came without warning.
Big breaking news, Red Bull have released Christian Horner.
Red Bull have parted ways officially with Christian Horner.
Racing CEO and team principal Christian Horner to exit the organisation with immediate effect.
Some breaking news first, coming in from Red Bull GmbH, saying that it has fired Christian Horner.
The paddock reeled. Christian Horner, the man who'd led Red Bull since 2005, was out. Laurent Mekies, the Racing Bulls team principal, would replace him. Oliver Mintzlaff, Red Bull's CEO of corporate projects, tried to soften it, saying, "We would like to thank Christian for his exceptional work over the last 20 years."
And that obviously is Tim's job, obviously to myself, but obviously what I've had chance to do is to reflect over the last 12 hours or so, and I wanted to stand in front of all of you to break this news, and just express my gratitude to each and every single member of the team.
The decision was unanimous. The shareholders, Oliver Mintzlaff, Helmut Marko, everyone agreed. This wasn't impulsive. This had been building. The scandal from February 2024 had never truly ended. Christian was cleared by the investigation, but the leaked WhatsApp messages had circulated worldwide. Red Bull GmbH, the parent company in Austria, had watched their brand get dragged through tabloids and social media. The reputational damage lingered.
Of course I spoke to Christian. I still spoke to him even today. So in that sense, of course, the relationship never will change. Also from my side, we have experienced so many things together in the team, and of course, great emotional moments. And for me, the team anyway feels like a second family. And of course, Christian is included in that. So I'm just incredibly thankful for all the moments that we have lived together.
The scandal had fatally weakened his position with the parent company. The internal rifts had never healed. The talent exodus suggested cultural problems. Third place in the Constructors' standings with the best driver on the grid suggested underperformance. Austria 2025 was the final straw.
First of all, I don't think he's gone forever. I think he's going to pop up in some kind of other function.
Where do you think?
Well, I need to be careful. He could be rocking up in the FAA, and then I'm really in the shit. You never know. Yeah, but you look at it from the main protagonist. He was somebody that was controversial, that was polarizing, and not, soft-washed.
Past success brought you nothing. Not at Red Bull. Laurent Mekies arrived at Silverstone on a filming day, meeting his new team for the first time as their leader.
The first thoughts of operations, it still feels a bit unreal to be here and not to see him. It will be impossible to underestimate the size of the achievement that this team has had under 20 years of Christian leadership.
The Frenchman had spent time at Minardi, Toro Rosso, the FIA and Ferrari before joining Racing Bulls in 2024. He was technical, calm, well-liked, but ultimately he was the complete opposite of Christian's combative, media-savvy approach. But could he rally them? Could he push development on the struggling RB21? Could he manage Max? Only time would tell.
July, Belgium, Spa. Laurent Mekies' first race weekend as team principal. The timing couldn't have been more challenging. A sprint format weekend meant just 1 hour of practice on Friday before sprint qualifying. Limited data, immediate pressure, no time to settle in. Every decision would be scrutinised, every result analysed for signs of whether Laurent could actually turn Red Bull's season around.
At first, after 2 weeks at the factory, meeting our people, it was nice to see them in the context of the race weekend. That's what we love doing, and it's nice to also see that side of the team today. It's also a good way to accelerate a bit the learning about how the team works and so forth and so on. So the session was smooth this morning, which is good. Whether we are happy about ultimate performance or not, it's early days. Competition is super strong.
Saturday's sprint saw Max deliver perfection. He attacked Oscar Piastri around the outside of La Source, stole the lead through Eau Rouge and held off both McLarens for 15 laps to take his first sprint win of the season.
It's Max Verstappen again in a sprint. He is by far the most successful driver in sprint history. That's now 12 wins, and no one else has any more than 2.
Quebec, nice job. Well managed.
Nice, very well done. Great job with the gaps and the battery. It's really nice. Well done, guys.
Sunday's Grand Prix was tougher. Max qualified 4th, battled hard in the race, but could only manage 4th place at the flag. Yuki finished 13th. The turnaround was beginning, but slowly. What followed over the next 3 months was Laurent's technical expertise coming to life. The calm atmosphere wasn't nonchalance, it was focused development. Updates accelerated. The Singapore package unlocked the RB21's potential, particularly at low downforce circuits. Monza. Max dominated, pole to flag, light to flag victory, the breakthrough.
But out of the Parabolica for the 53rd and final time to take a 3rd win of the season, Max Verstappen wins the Italian Grand Prix.
Azerbaijan, Baku. Another pole, another victory.
And weaving across the line to celebrate victory is Max Verstappen.
United States.
Once again, Max Verstappen is going to win the Grand Prix. Are we witnessing the comeback of all comebacks? Max Verstappen wins the US Grand Prix, and the gap, which was once 104, now stands at just 40 points.
Yeah, another very impressive weekend, Max. Extremely well done. Enjoy the celebrations. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, well done, mate. Unbelievable weekend.
Mexico, 3rd place.
If it finishes like this, Charles Leclerc has 2nd place heading into the stadium section. Verstappen was all over him under traction. It was a brilliant stint from the driver who finds himself in 3rd.
By Mexico, the deficit to Lando Norris stood at 36 points with 4 races left in the Drivers' Championship. But the problem remained. While Max won relentlessly, Yuki scored almost nothing. The Constructors' Championship was already lost, as McLaren claimed their back-to-back victory in Singapore with 6 races left of the season. Red Bull sat in 4th, behind Ferrari and Mercedes. It was clear that the second seat was still a poison chalice. And the paddock whispers were getting louder. Isaac Hadjar was impressing at Racing Bulls with 39 points and a podium at the Dutch Grand Prix, and was being eyed for a promotion.
I think we made it very clear, very public that, we have time with our driver decision. We have, enough drivers between the driver program to cover quite a few scenarios for next year.
November, round 20. Brazil, Interlagos. Everything was about to get complicated. Sprint Saturday saw Max finish 4th after a virtual safety car penalty. Then qualifying, delayed until Sunday morning due to torrential rain, became a nightmare.
Are we in for an almighty shock? Verstappen to the line, and Verstappen is out of the first part of qualifying.
Max qualified 16th. It was the first time he'd failed to reach Q2 on pure pace, excluding penalties, in his entire career.
4-time champion, chasing number 5, and they cannot unlock the speed of a car that has been resurgent in recent times.
The RB21 couldn't find grip in treacherous conditions.
Yeah, it was just not responding. I had no grip out there, so I had to really massively underdrive it, basically, and it just didn't work.
Red Bull made a bold call. Strip the car, fit an entirely fresh power unit, new ICE, turbocharger, MGUH, MGUK, energy store, control electronics. Change the suspension setup. Everything they'd learned over months was implemented overnight. The consequence for all these changes was a pit lane start. Sunday arrived with more rain. Max started from the pit lane, dead last. Then, in the opening laps, debris punctured his tyre.
Verstappen has come into the pit lane, and he has changed to the medium tyre.
Puncture, Max. That was the reason for the box.
An early stop dropped him to the very back again. What followed defied logic.
Another position gain for Max Verstappen. We've said that before from this commentary box. He's up to P14 from the pit lane. That will become P13 very quickly because it's his teammate ahead. This time the late move works for Max Verstappen, who's got another place. He is up to P12 right now. Another position shift for Max Verstappen, who's gone from the pit lane to 5th. But how about this for a sentence? Max Verstappen, who started in the pit lane, leads in Brazil.
Something I didn't think I'd say, Max. At the end of the pit lane earlier, you are now race leader. Okay, Max. Box, and confirm. Box.
Having held the lead from starting in the pit lane, hands it back to Lando Norris. Lando Norris takes back the lead.
Max carved through the field like the car had been transformed. The overnight setup worked perfectly. Every corner, an overtake. Every lap, faster. By the closing stages, he was chasing Kimi Antonelli's Mercedes for second.
Can only apologise for yesterday, mate. That was a race-ready drive. So, yeah, sorry.
We at least try, You just sit there and be happy with second, third, we try a lot of stuff, so we say that something that went, thank you very much for today. I think that went pretty well, so thank you for that.
He finished third. Pit lane to podium with a puncture in wet conditions. The data showed he'd posted the fastest average race pace of anyone. Red Bull had found something, and suddenly the impossible seemed possible.
It was a very good race, even with a puncture as well in the race. I had a good first lap after the safety car. Already overtook some guys, but then somehow we picked up that puncture, maybe from some debris that flew off in front of me in the first lap. But then I think we had strong pace. We did the right calls as well with the strategy, and to be on the podium from the pit lane is something that I definitely didn't expect jumping into the car this morning. But at the same time, I was looking forward to it. I was excited.
Las Vegas, the neon-lit street circuit in the Nevada desert. Max qualified second, while Lando secured pole position. When the lights went out, Lando defended aggressively into turn 1, before going wide and handing the lead to Max. He crossed the line and took his 6th win of the season.
Well, this is going to be an 8th consecutive podium finish for Max Verstappen, who is still a contender for the title. You cannot count him out. Heading to Qatar, still with a chance. This is the 17th and final corner of the last lap. The Dutch driver will look up and see the checkered flag first. Max Verstappen wins the Las Vegas Grand Prix.
The championship mathematics were shifting. After Las Vegas, Max had closed down the gap to Lando to 24 points with 2 races left. The comeback everyone had written off was accelerating towards a finale nobody expected.
Yeah, I mean, start was of course good to get ahead and then try to just do your own pace and see if that was quick enough or not. And I think over the whole stint, yeah, we were very consistent. We could do a few more laps compared to some others. That was of course then probably also crucial on the final set where, again, you don't know if they're going to last very well, but it's all about just trying to feel, am I pushing enough or not? Am I managing enough? But we did well. I think also the communication with the pit wall was very strong about that. So, yeah, very happy.
Qatar, the penultimate race before Abu Dhabi. One last chance to close the gap before the showdown. Max qualified 3rd, behind both of the McLarens, but on Sunday, he delivered a fantastic victory.
Still a contender for the Formula One World Championship. Max Verstappen will not be moved. He heads to Abu Dhabi with a fighting chance still.
The gap to Lando, 12 points, 1 race remaining. Max had pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in recent F1 history. He was 104 points behind after the Dutch Grand Prix in August. His championship hopes had been written off, but now he was only 12 points behind going into Abu Dhabi in December. It all came down to this.
Green flag at the back. It is time to crown a champion.
December 7th, Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina circuit, the 2025 season finale. Max needed to win and hope that Lando finished 4th or lower to end the season as a newly crowned 5-time world champion. Friday, however, brought another setback for Yuki Tsunoda. Kimi Antonelli crashed into his stationary Red Bull in the pit lane, destroying the new floor and upgraded components. Mercedes were fined €10,000. Toto Wolff, Mercedes team principal, apologised. Yuki was forced to use the old specifications across the weekend.
Kimi Antonelli into the side of Yuki Tsunoda.
Saturday qualifying. Max took pole, Lando 2nd, and Oscar 3rd. On Sunday, the lights went out.
The title decider of 2025 is underway.
Max got away cleanly. Behind him, Oscar dived down the inside of Lando at turn 1, taking 2nd place.
Lando Norris is in 2nd position and chasing your race leader, that is Max Verstappen.
That move alone decided the 2025 World Championship. Max controlled from the front with absolute precision. No mistakes, perfect execution. He did everything required of him, delivering a flawless drive to victory whilst Lando survived an opening lap overtake from his teammate, a mid-race stewards investigation, and a battle through the pack to secure the points he needed. Max crossed the line first, victory, his 8th win of the season.
And it's Max Verstappen who is making his way to victory for the 8th time in Formula One. He came roaring back, but the comeback of all comebacks will fall short. Max Verstappen wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but this will be a victory lap for Lando Norris.
Oscar was 2nd and Lando 3rd. The final standing stood with Lando Norris on 423 points and Max Verstappen on 421 points.
The season ended with Max Verstappen just 2 points short of a 5th World Championship. 8 wins, 421 points. 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship by the narrowest of margins.
I feel good. I mean, I was already prepared for these kind of outcomes because we needed a bit of luck, to win. And from our side, at least, we optimized the weekend perfectly. We put it on pole. We won the race in, I think, dominant fashion. So there's nothing really that you can say about that. Lose the championship by 2 points. looks, of course, painful, but at the other hand, if you look from where we were in Zandvoort, more than 100 behind, then I think it's not too bad.
Yuki Tsunoda finished with just 33 points, only 30 of which were for Red Bull, 17th in the championship. 15 races without scoring a single point in his Red Bull debut.
I wanted to at least score points. I don't know, some strange penalty. Once again, I guess as usual for them, to be honest, but I gave it all. It was very hard to follow these cars. I mean, I had a pace initially, but somehow it just overheats massively, crazy. Struggled with that a lot this race.
Third place overall for the team. 451 points, 18 behind Mercedes, 53 ahead of Ferrari. Once again, the second seat had cost Red Bull millions in prize money, and the team knew they couldn't let it happen again in 2026.
Huge effort from everyone at the factory on several fronts, trying to improve the 25 car, the 26 projects, the 26 powertrain. So the company is flat out. Our people have been pushing for months, trying to find the right compromise, and obviously we also had the shock news a couple of weeks ago, and having that sort of commitment again, and renewed commitment is of course something that is the right sign to get everyone to give even more tomorrow.
Red Bull announced that Isaac Hadjar would replace Yuki Tsunoda for 2026. The rookie had impressed at Racing Bulls, finishing the season with 51 points, ahead of Yuki in the driver's standings, and even securing a debut podium at the Dutch Grand Prix.
I feel very privileged to be at 21, having to have a go next to the best driver on the planet right now. So it's just super exciting to know what does the best guy on the grid do.
But Red Bull weren't just looking at results. They were looking at raw speed, the one attribute that matters above all in this team. Yuki, despite 10 months in the second seat, was out. His time had run its course. Liam Lawson, meanwhile, would remain at Racing Bulls, having completed his own redemption arc after his demotion earlier in the season.
Yeah, I heard after the race, after the Qatar, and yeah, obviously I was disappointed. Yeah, tough, I'm not probably fully recognizing or, fully feeling it yet that I'm not racing next year. Surprisingly, I was kind of okay next morning, and I was thinking about only Abu Dhabi, really.
But the problem was never really the driver in the seat. It was the seat itself. Since 2016, anyone paired with Max has faced the same challenge. The car is built around him, aggressive at the front, razor sharp in rotation, with a tiny operating window that rewards total commitment and punishes hesitation. Max thrives, while everyone else struggles. Gasly lasted 12 races. Alex Albon fought for 2 seasons. Sergio Perez won races and was still discarded. Liam Lawson had his trial by fire that only lasted 2 races. And now Yuki Tsunoda was out, and Isaac Hadjar would inherit the same challenge. Different drivers, same outcome.
The minute I signed my exit with Red Bull, when we come to an agreement, I knew that poor guy who comes here, because managed to survive. It's a very difficult place. Obviously, being next to Max is very difficult, but being next to Max in Red Bull, it's something people don't understand, and there's so many things that I could tell you about it, but it's simply just a very difficult job for a driver. There is no driver that can survive there.
Development focuses on Max. Upgrades suit him. The second driver chases a feeling of confidence in the car that they rarely find. Results are demanded instantly, and Red Bull doesn't wait for potential. It demands proof. Their ruthless system has delivered dominance. Back-to-back Constructors' Championships in 2022 and 2023. Max took 19 of 21 wins in 2023 alone. But even a perfect driver cannot carry both titles. By 2024, Max won his 4th consecutive Drivers' Championship and Red Bull lost the Constructors' title. By 2025, the pattern was clear. Max kept winning. The second car kept failing. Red Bull weren't losing because their best driver wasn't good enough. They were losing because one man can only score so many points. This was the reality Yuki Tsunoda stepped into. Not just a seat beside Max, but the most unforgiving role in Formula One. And with the 2026 regulations looming, the question remained. Could Red Bull finally survive without being carried by one extraordinary driver?
Then came the real shock.
Red Bull and Helmut Marko have presented his exit after over 20 years as his own decision.
At 82 years old and more than 20 years with Red Bull, Dr. Helmut Marko announced his departure. He was the man who discovered Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen, who built the junior program from nothing, who gave Max a Formula One seat at Toro Rosso straight out of Formula 3 in 2015.
Helmut and I think we have a lot of respect for each other, and my loyalty in general to Red Bull, but also to him, after all what he has done for me, goes very far.
Helmut said, "Narrowly missing out on the World Championship this season has moved me deeply. Now is the right moment for me personally to end this very long, intense and successful chapter." The official line? His choice. The reality? The exit was agreed Sunday evening after Abu Dhabi, communicated Monday, announced Tuesday. It hadn't been his decision at all.
And as long as I'm physically and mentally in a position to do my job, yes, I have a contract. First time I have a contract. I did work 19 years without a contract, was all handshake. But since the boss died, it's becoming a little bit more a normal company. So everybody has to have a contract and so on. So that goes till 2026.
Relationships had soured after Dietrich Mateschitz' death in 2022. The new corporate oversight brought accountability Helmut wasn't used to. The clashes mounted. Derogatory remarks about Sergio Perez being Mexican saw the team face backlash. Comments about Kimi Antonelli that sparked abuse online caused outrage. Reports of signing drivers against the shareholders' wishes caused internal confusion. Alex Dunn had to be paid not to join after Helmut signed him anyway. Oliver Mintzlaff and the shareholders had seen enough. After Abu Dhabi, they decided Helmut was out. Max had once called Helmut one of his pillars, had strongly implied he'd leave Red Bull if Helmut was pushed out. Now Helmut was gone, joining the exodus. Christian Horner, sacked in July. Adrian Newey left for Aston Martin. Jonathan Wheatley departed to lead Audi. Will Courtenay was placed on gardening leave before joining McLaren. Now Helmut was gone, Christian was gone, Adrian was gone, Jonathan Wheatley was gone, and this chapter of Red Bull was over.
2026 brings the biggest technical reset Formula One has seen in decades. Honda's partnership with Red Bull ended after powering the team to 4 consecutive Drivers' Championships from 2021 to 2024. They initially planned to withdraw from the sport before later deciding to partner with Aston Martin. And now, Red Bull Powertrains and Ford will join forces for 2026.
I think this is one of the most important pillars or foundation for the PU's success. And talking to Max, I think we at Ford have grown our respect for Max watching him this year. The way he has provided stability without drama in an environment where, we're all just trying to do our jobs. I could really see that in his eyes today versus last year. It's one of the great things about Laurent and his team. They all have this deep commitment to each other.
The Americans are back. Ford is returning after 20 years away from the sport. There will be 700 people working across 3 buildings at Milton Keynes. A brand new power unit built from scratch called DMO1, which is a tribute to the Red Bull co-founder Dietrich Mateschitz. Red Bull and Ford will arrive in Australia having never run their power unit at a Grand Prix weekend. Neither will Audi. Both teams will face Ferrari, Mercedes, and Honda, manufacturers who have been racing their engines weekend in, weekend out for decades. The 2026 regulations demand a roughly 50-50 split between electrical power and sustainable fuel. Some teams know what they're doing, but Red Bull is starting from the ground up.
Look, we knew it would be a very special moment to be here for the first time with RB22 with our own power unit. So it came with that special atmosphere and tensions, and the last few months and weeks have been incredibly hectic to be ready. But ultimately, we were ready. I can only take that opportunity to say a big thank you and well done to everybody back in Milton Keynes, chassis side, power unit side, because it was incredible to see the car going out at a few minutes past 9 on Monday morning with our own power unit.
Max will return. Isaac Hadjar will partner him, hoping to finally break the curse of the second seat. Laurent Mekies will lead the team. Ben Hodgkinson, the technical director poached from Mercedes with 27 years of power unit experience, will try to make the DMO1 competitive.
Yeah, I think overall pretty decent. I mean, the first morning I didn't get to do too many laps, also with the weather basically. But it was good. I did a lot of laps. We learned a lot. Still a lot of things that we want to look into and do better, but that's normal, I guess. In general for us, with the new engine, to do the amount of laps that we did is very nice, and it's a good start for us.
It's definitely a lot less load in general. It's a bit more predictable compared to the previous generation of cars. They are more simple. It's easier to play around with them. On the PU side, there's a lot more options for the driver to play with. So already started to work on it today. So that was very interesting.
But with so many key members at Red Bull gone, can they rebuild? Can they create a new identity while fighting McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes with an untested engine? Can they finally solve the second seat that's haunted them since Daniel Ricciardo left in 2018? The 2025 season will be remembered for Max's brilliance, the comeback that fell 2 points short. But perhaps the real story is simpler. They're a team that kept fighting when everything was falling apart, that kept winning when logic said they shouldn't, that came within 2 points of a miracle when written off. They didn't win, but they proved Red Bull Racing can survive almost anything. The question is, for how long?
Well, there you have it. Red Bull's 2025 season and the hopes of a fifth championship for Max out the door, just like Helmut Marko, Christian Horner, Jonathan Wheatley. The list goes on.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it's a long list.
That was an amazing intro.
Thank you.
That flowed. Good work.
Their season raised some fascinating questions about team culture and the ruthless pursuit of excellence. However, we're not a HR podcast. We're not going to go into all of that in too much depth, but we will reflect on everything that happened and two questions that mainly stand out. Do we think that Red Bull's ruthlessness ultimately became self-destructive?
Ooh.
They lost Christian Horner, they lost Helmut Marko, Adrian Newey, Jonathan Wheatley, essentially the whole team structure that had guaranteed them so many wins and so many championships crumbled and turned to ashes. Max came within 2 points of a championship despite all of this. But could they have actually won it for him if they had more stability and this cutthroat approach didn't exist?
Listen, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a fucking Merry Christmas, you know what I'm saying? But
it's February.
If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a happy Easter.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But this is not the reality we live in. And I think that Red Bull's ruthless nature is horrible, but also very entertaining.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think that actually their ruthlessness has allowed them to attract some of the top talent within the sport's history. Because Max Verstappen is a generational talent, and Sebastian Vettel is a queen. So I think that he is. A lot of mission work. Love him.
Yeah.
Girly pop. So I think that there's a duality to it. I think that their ruthlessness is part of their DNA. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. As we saw with Barcelona with Max, that ruthlessness can really boil over and he could have razor blades on his elbows and do reckless things, which the team, have to then rein in. But I know from watching the years of Red Bull and also watching Formula One and watching Christian Horner, he would far prefer to have someone like Max that he needs to rein in than maybe having someone like Kimi Antonelli that he has to coax out. Not of the closet. Of
Love that you had to clarify.
What an allegation.
But I didn't want that to be an allegation. I just can't deal with it anymore. I think I've lost my point. I think that they probably could have won. You know what? This is a discussion. Why am I waffling on? Rhea, what do you think?
Well, I think I'm kind of on the same side of you where there's a bit of a duality to it. But I think Max Verstappen, his entire driving history, his personality, the way he is at Red Bull, his aggressiveness encapsulates what Red Bull is. And he wouldn't have gone as far as he has if he didn't have that aggressiveness in him. I mean, the comeback that he made this season was probably one of the best this is the first comeback I've seen. 2025 season is the first one I've seen.
You better say it's the best comeback in the history of the 75-year sport that I have not
well,
watched.
No, that's why I corrected myself. I was about to make a big allegation, but it was a genuinely...
You're about to lie is what you're about to do.
It was a genuinely incredible comeback, and I remember watching the 2025 season and initially rooting for Lando, I think, and then Oscar, and then I kind of got bored of McLaren at some point, and when Max started to come back, I found myself genuinely rooting for Max by the end of the season. Like, I actually wanted him to win that championship.
He was definitely like driver of the year.
Yeah.
I think he's
fully
fan apps. I mean, he's just class of his own, to be honest with you. Also, there was an amazing comment that he said in a press conference during the 2025 season, which was basically, listen, if this was my team and it was me driving, the car that McLaren have and the team they have, we'd have won it already.
Oh.
And you know what? I remember being like, oh, but also he's not fucking wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. Diamonds are made under pressure. And I think that, Red Bull is a very vicious pressure cooker. But what they create out of that is generational talent and drivers that you love to watch. Of course, they have drivers that don't make it and don't make the cut. And that is the downside and the con. Oh, no, well, not a con, as in like pro to a con, not as in a con, as in a scam. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The English language has failed me there. The con to their sort of very mean, lean sausage-making machine.
Why have you started talking about sausages?
Now, what do you think?
They're lean, mean F1 driver-making machine. There we go.
Okay.
Nav, what do you think?
Well, I'm gonna throw you guys a bit of a devil's avocado.
Hey.
And I would argue Max's comeback didn't start until after Horner was gone.
Oh, our script was effective. Sorry.
It was only once Lauren Mekes had taken the reins and had started changing stuff up at the team, changing the culture, changing how the team operates overall, that he was actually able to start improving and progressing and closing the gap. And finally, people started saying, oh, he's not going to be the champion this year. Obviously, he wasn't, but he only lost it in the last race by 2 points. But, if Horner had stayed, maybe that would never have been a possibility, never would have been a conversation. And maybe in that case, the ruthlessness was self-destructive, because when they had a leader who doesn't emulate that, suddenly things turned around.
Oh, I disagree with you.
Okay, go on then.
Well, I mean, Max, yes, he started winning after Horner left, but it was very shortly after Horner left. And, one of the first interviews of Laurent Mekes joining the Red Bull team is him saying, one of my first tasks is getting to know everyone in the team. So I don't think he was doing that much changes by the time that he actually joined. Obviously,
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you ever had a bad manager?
Yeah.
Oh.
Has it ever impacted your ability to work, your effort that you put into work? Has the culture of your team ever impacted your motivation to perform well?
Yeah, but my point didn't finish.
Follow-up question, what was their name? Air it out!
but I didn't finish my point. I was going to continue saying, I also think it's unfair to say it was just Horner that was affecting his performance. Now listen, I'm not a fan of Horner. Horny Horner. But
I knew you were going to say. I knew you were going to change to Horny Horner.
But the last 4 championships that Max has won was under Christian Horner. He was the team principal, and that you cannot really disregard that, because yes, he's had, a bunch of drama and allegations come up against him since 2024, and that's impacted the team a lot. But that's not to say he wasn't a good team principal.
No, there's no ignoring the fact that Horner was the team principal when those championships were won. However, we can acknowledge that none of the other cars were really performing that great, and it was a dominance, not because of Horner, but because of the car design, because of Adrian Newey.
Well, see, that's an unfair point, because I don't have the references of the last season.
That's on you then, isn't it?
Make educated statements.
No, but there was definitely some dominance from other seasons. I mean, McLaren won in 2024.
Yeah, but only after, 10 races did they start performing well?
And Ferrari, Charles Leclerc was up for a championship, wasn't he?
Yeah, but Ferrari be doing Ferrari things.
Yeah, exactly. That was never going to happen. And now Lewis is dating Kim Kardashian, so we can just write him off. He's just not going to show up to half the races.
I don't. Apparently, there's a Kim Kardashian curse.
There's a whole Kardashian curse. It's a thing.
Yeah.
What happens? What's the curse that you end up supporting Trump? Sorry, what is the curse?
Whenever they date athletes, the athletes go like crazy downhill afterwards.
He's already got the fucking Ferrari curse, bruv.
Maybe he's trying to reverse it.
He's going to DNF every fucking race this year. He's going to DNF at races that weren't even held for a F1 race. Oh my lord. He's, still we rise.
Still we rise, guys. Still we rise.
Still we rise.
I do have a question to ask about whether or not we think Horner and Helmut Marko should have been allowed to have remained in their positions for as long as they did.
Until the allegations of Christian Horner, fuck yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll disregard Horner from that then. Well, no, I won't. Once the allegations came out, do we think he should have stayed as long as he did? And Helmut Marko, with all of the nonsense things, racist things, offensive things that he has said in the past, should he have remained for as long as he did?
No.
There you have it from Reem. Grand Prix does not condone racism. Yeah. Shortest fucking discussion in the world. Now listen. Christian Horner is a fantastically successful team principal. I am not saying that I stan his behaviour of inappropriate behaviour with women in the workplace. That is not cool by everyone's book. However, well, that's true, but he has to wrestle with himself and God. And we'll have to see what she says.
And his wife?
Well, yeah, her too. I'd be more scared of God, but sure. So that was crazy. That's undermining it. It was horrible. That's not cool. Oh my god, I'm losing my mind. That wasn't cool. But I do think that we are forgetting that he also, separately to that, did lead that team to victory. They started in 2005, bought the team from Jaguar, and they crucially got a major signing, which was Adrian Newey. And in 5 seasons, Sebastian Vettel crossed the line at the end of the year and was world champion. I don't think you guys recognise how crazy of a fantastic success that actually is. 5 years in to win a world championship is mad. So there has to be, yes, he had some great people. He was able to maneuver great people around him, but he also was a fantastic team principal. However, Dr. Helmut Marko does have a legacy. Is that legacy completely positive?
No.
Yeah. Is racism okay?
No.
No. Is that open for debate? No. Why the fuck did you guys not say no?
No.
Okay, well, it's crazy. You know a lot about
I thought you were monologuing.
Well, I was, but I was hoping for, when I talk about racism being, okay, you should be shouting out no. Anyway, I think that Helmut Marko was given far too much airtime, and that's shame on the press. However, I also saw an article that said that Christian Horner was being interviewed, looked over and saw that Helmut Marko was talking to the press and essentially was like, oh, fuck. So it was obviously a known quantity that whatever he says, like, you know, crazy Dr. Helmut was going to say crazy things that then the team would have to react to and apologise for and make statements on. So why he was there that long, I don't know. There was talk about the idea of Sebastian Vettel, 4-time world champion, resident cutie in my books, was going to take over from Helmut Marko. And that I thought was a fantastic idea.
I fuck with that.
I fucks with it. I fucks with it. Reem, what do you fucks with? No, sorry. Do you fucks with it?
I fucks with it.
There we go. Boom.
Moving on from that, because I feel like we could actually debate that for a very long time. And frankly, I'm hungry. The second seat problem, driver or system. 3 different drivers, Perez, Lawson, Tsunoda, they've all struggled a lot. At what point does the pattern suggest that the issue isn't the drivers themselves, but something fundamentally wrong with how Red Bull develops, supports, and even designs their car for anyone whose name is not legally Max Verstappen?
I think it's a combination. I think it's...
Really?
Yeah.
Really, bitch? After all the evidence we have given.
I think in terms of, like, I mean, if you look at Perez, he's won races. Has he won races? He's been on podiums. He's won races.
He has won races.
He's won races. He's been on podiums, and he's
You're making your point whilst also finding out the information for the fucking point you're making.
and yes, he was treated, unfairly, and he ended up being demoted. And obviously, the 2024 season wasn't the best season for him, definitely in comparison to Max Verstappen. But he still had performance, and with Yuki Tsunoda, it was his first time in a Red Bull seat, but also he's been at Racing Bulls for like 4 years before that point. So I think a point of it was down to his own performance, as well as the struggles with the Red Bull seat. But Liam Lawson is a bit of a grey area, because I think with Lawson, they just didn't give him enough time to actually show his potential. I think if he would have gotten used to actually being in that Red Bull car, maybe throughout the season we would have been able to see him actually score points, the same way it took him some time to cook in Racing Bulls, and then he was able to score points eventually. And I think as well with Isaac Hadra, I'm terrified for him in Red Bull, because he's a baby, and he's a star, but as I'm scared of him and scared for him.
I'm scared of him. She goes to a therapy session. Everywhere I look, he's there.
No, I'm scared for him for him being in Red Bull for 2026, but I do think Isaac does have the performance. I think he'll still be able to shine. But yes, there is an issue with the Red Bull second seat generally. I think they focus too much on Max Verstappen, and they're forgetting the fact that Max Verstappen is just an incredible driver. So it's like he'll still struggle with the car. He still had radio messages coming in 2025 talking about how shit the car was at times, and he still managed because he's such a good driver. And I think they need to not base the performance of the car off of someone who's Max Verstappen. They need to take into more account the struggles of the person in the second seat, because if they make it easy for the second seat driver, then they could actually start winning things like Constructors, instead of just having to win drivers' championships.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sergio Perez, has truly been able to have a redemption arc purely off the fact that he was having to hold the dunce hat on his head throughout his time towards the end of his tenure at Red Bull. And he lost a lot of stock to his name having to drive that car, which he would say quite openly, the updates came and suddenly my performance went. Well, why is that? Because the updates would be suiting Max's driving style, not his. I think it was quite well reported that Sergio liked his car a bit looser than Max liked his. We've got a string of people on the grid that don't like the way that Max Verstappen likes his cars. They prefer it set up differently. That is a fundamental flaw, and it's a very selfish, narrow-minded way to be able to set up a team that has 2 drivers and 2 cars. You're paying 2 salaries. Why, why not try and make the most of it?
Yeah, it's actually financially really inefficient.
Completely. But I think once Sergio Perez left, I think he kind of thought, just fucking wait. Just wait until the next fucker gets in that car, and I've been able to endure this, but just you fucking wait. And Lord knows, I do think that as we saw drivers come into that seat and fail to adapt and fail to find confidence in a car that really demanded it, my God, I think that kind of cemented the issue. Drivers would say, I'm really excited, I'm looking forward to it, and then they get in the car and be like, oh yeah, and it was quite good, and then they're, oh my God, I'm up against Max, and then they would start the year and it's like, how the fuck can I get my head around this car? It's configured for a completely different driver. So not only are you trying to drive a car, you're trying to learn how to drive a car completely unintuitively to how you like to race it. And then you get upgrades hoping to add performance, and instead it's removing your performance and confidence because it's set up for Max. So what happens when Max leaves? Suddenly you have a team that has only ever centered it around one driver, and that is not the best way to do things. So I think that Red Bull also lean on their idea of they only ever want to have one generational talent in their team at one time. So if Isaac Hadjar comes along and causes a right stir and does similar to what Lewis Hamilton did in 2007 with his two-time world champion teammate as a rookie and came along and nearly, stole the fucking show, then what do? Because then you've got two drivers that are then gunning for points, and they might be winning the Constructors title, but they might also be losing the battle of being able to have team harmony after a very, very, very scandalous 2025.
Ooh. Okay, girly poops, because we could talk about this all day. I'm putting an end to it. Roundtable time. What do you think is going to be Red Bull's constructor position for 2026? Bearing in mind, this is a new engine entering the game. Never driven a full race before.
Ooh.
Untried, going to be tested.
P3.
P3!
Yeah.
That's wild.
I think there's still going to be a lot of
P2.
teething problems here.
P2! That's delusion. I'm saying P5.
P5? P5
Yeah.
is crazy.
No, that's
Yeah.
far down.
Yeah.
You've got Max Verstappen. I really don't think you should underestimate him like that. Look at what he's just done in 2025.
And I don't think you should underestimate Isaac Hadjar.
Whoa.
You're
Is
obsessed.
Are you standing him now?
Yeah, I am.
Like full on standing.
I am.
More than Sainz.
Because he's...
More than...
She
More than
heard
Sainz.
his name and just instantly any thought in her brain was gone.
Literally. Why are you dribbling?
Yeah, I think P2 because I've
Hello? Why are you not answering me?
not more than signs, no. But I
Okay,
think
there we go.
I think P2 because I do think that Isaac Hadjar and Max Verstappen are a stronger pairing, and I think they would be able to get themselves up to P2.
I don't see it.
I see it. Reem, I'm with you, girl.
Damn, I'm an influencer.
I was the one that said it first.
You said,
Oh no, I said P3.
thank you.
Shit. I'm not with you, girl.
Guys, what the fuck? Ferrari and Mercedes know how to make engines.
But they don't
This is-
know how to have a Max Verstappen, and Red Bull do.
Okay, but Max Verstappen, yes, he can win races, but he can't win races if he's got a shitbox car.
I still think he could.
You've got so much faith in it being a shitbox for 2026. Who knows? It might end up being
They've
incredible.
never made a fucking engine before.
But it might be amazing.
They haven't made it work with two drivers before, and they've still won titles.
Okay.
They've got some of their gremlins off their back. They've shaken it off. Yes, they've lost Adrian Newey. Yes, they've lost Jonathan Wheatley, a fantastic sporting director. Yes, they've lost their team principal of 20 years. Yes, they've lost a lot of dignity. But they have garnered a reputation for rising up in adversity and being able to storm the competition with great aplomb. And I think that P3 is doable.
And also, wasn't
Okay.
Barcelona testing already showing that it has a lot of potential?
Well, we don't know. It's all testing, variable different engine modes, variable different fuel loads. It's just, it's all it's all
Different
smoke
weather
and mirrors.
conditions as well, because it rained.
Yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors, honestly.
Fair.
Well, my co-hosts are clearly taking hard drugs. This should make the bold prediction part of the episode very fun. What is your bold prediction for the season?
Oh.
Bold prediction. Oh my gosh.
Max learns how to fly and just flies the entire race.
If he could, he would.
Just drink some Red Bull.
My bold prediction is that Isaac Hadjar will be Max's most competitive teammate in his career.
Damn.
Ooh, more so than Ricardo.
Yes.
Damn.
I think that Isaac Hadjar could outqualify Max more than once in 2026, and I think he will be challenging him for grid positions during races.
Okay.
I think the young rookie will be nipping at the 4-time world champion's tail.
Okay, Reem?
Mine is Isaac Hadjar will win at least one race this season.
I think if it was a bold prediction, you'd say he'd win like 3 races.
I said at least one.
Okay, my bold prediction is by the end of the season, we will be able to count Max's wins on just one hand.
Ooh. 5 wins for the champ. I don't know how he's going to win that championship with that, but we'll see what happens.
Everyone else DNFs 3 times.
3 times. Apparently they should 24 races. She needs everyone to DNF 3 times for him to win. Maybe we'll do an episode on how F1 is scored, because Reem is clearly lost.
F1 math episode.
Love that. Our final category is confidence level for Red Bull Racing in 2026.
I'd say an 8.
4 out of 10. Oh no, 6 out of 10.
I'd say an 8.
But you think they're going to come third?
I don't have confidence, I have belief.
Right.
Those are 2 very different things.
You have hallucinations.
Well, no, not right now. I have delusions of grandeur is what it actually is. But I think the things that are kind of holding me back is how do we know about the engine? How do we know how Isaac is going to be able to get into the team? How do we know if Lauren Mekies and the rest of the team are going to gel?
She's backtracking.
But I have
She's
a 60%.
really backtracking.
Hey, guys, why, let's not quarrel. I have a 60% chance out of 10 that doesn't make sense. A 60% chance out of 100 that they will come P3 in the championship. I think that's very clear.
Mine's an 8.
Right. Okay. Explain yourself.
I've already explained it. I have faith. I feel like Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar will be a very strong pairing. I don't think the engine will be bad. I think, to be fair, all the teams are entering into new regulations. So there's nothing to say that Mercedes is going to be amazing, Ferrari is going to be amazing, McLaren's going to be amazing. It's all new regulations, so it's going to be a surprise.
Well, the new rumour has it that Red Bull are actually the team that told all of the other teams about Mercedes' little engine loophole because they weren't able to exploit it for themselves because they didn't know how.
This is why I quite like Red Bull. They are the villains sometimes, and I quite like that. And by God, do they play the villains so well. They're fantastic at it. I will miss Christian Horner, though. He would be fantastic for these new regulations, complaining and bitching and moaning and getting all mean and all grumpy with Zach or Toto, whoever the fuck is, threatening their glory. So he will be missed, even though he is a very toxic character at times. I think with Red Bull, I think when they're backed into a corner, they'll just punch you in the mouth. And I think that is just what the team is all about.
Okay, well, my confidence level is a 5.
A 5?
Yeah.
Damn.
A 5?
Yeah.
A 5? It should be more.
They've been on the up for too long, okay? Someone has to come and knock them down a bit, frankly. They got too confident. They started saying racist stuff. They started harassing employees. Someone had to do something, okay?
Your bias is showing.
Agreed.
Just keeping things interesting. And I can't wait to say I told you so. Okay, well, let's wrap it up, girls. That was the Red Bull episode. Next week we will be returning to your ears and your brains with
the man who eats pumpernickel, Mercedes.
Yes. Only 2 more of these episodes to do.
Oh my God, change your fucking car. Sorry. I've been doing a lot of Christian Horner clips recently.
Right, okay.
Not for my own amusement.
Well, sometimes.
Well,
do we think he's going to be in Drive to Survive?
If he's not, then call me Nelly. Well, no, I know he's not going to be. What am I saying?
Wait, he's not going to be at all?
No.
But he was around for some of the races.
Oh, God. Okay, fine. Maybe he will be. Well, I don't know. That's the
Well, he's unemployed,
really want him
so
to
he's
be.
going to want the money.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely on benefits right now. He's definitely scrounging off the state, waiting in line to get in the dole, isn't he? Yeah. Definitely not living in Oxfordshire as a multimillionaire.
With a Spice Girl for a wife.
Literally.
Make sure you follow us on socials. We're available on Instagram, X, YouTube, and TikTok. On X and Instagram, you can follow our personal accounts. They are Grandprix Nav, Grandprix Izzy, and Grandprix Reem.
Do it, because we haven't got that many followers, and we try so hard for you guys. Come on, give us a go.
Getting desperate.
Oh, I don't care.
Make sure you leave us a review if you're enjoying this. Leave a rating, leave a comment. Just let us know.
Please do. I've had to cancel so many social plans so that I can get this research done. So please do leave us a review. Unless it's unkind, in which case just leave it to your fucking self. Say it in the mirror if it's bad. Say it on Spotify if it's good.
Say it 3 times, it will show up.